Jung was going to tell you something that took him years of patient watching to be sure of, and once you see it, you will never again throw away the things that come to you in the dark. Your dreams are not noise, they are a process, and that process has a direction. You once followed a man through hundreds of his dreams, more than 1,000 pictures and visions in all, and to keep himself from spoiling the thing he stayed almost entirely out of it. He did not interpret as they went. He did not steer. He had someone else simply record what arrived, night after night, so that the man would not be shaped by his opinions and the process could show itself as it truly was. And what showed itself changed how he understood the soul for the rest of his life. Let him give you the very first thing this man dreamed, because it tells you how the whole process announces itself. He dreamed that he was at a gathering, and on leaving he put on a stranger's hat instead of his own, a small, almost comic thing. But the hat sits on the head, and the head is where you keep your sense of who you are. To put on a stranger's hat is to take on, without choosing it, a self that is not the self you thought you were. That is how the deeper soul makes its first move. It does not arrive with thunder. It slips a strange hat onto you in a dream, and already, behind you, like a shadow you have not yet turned to see, the larger personality is standing and beginning to press its way forward into your life. There is in the psyche a process that seeks its own goal, independently of outside circumstances. Read that slowly. It is not waiting for you to manage it. It is not produced by your effort. It is already moving towards something on its own, underneath your waking life, whether you notice it or not. The way it moves is the part that astonished Jung. It is not much in a straight line. The dream themes return again and again after certain intervals to definite forms, and these forms circle a center. The whole process revolves around a central point. The dreams turn around that center and draw closer to it as they grow clearer and wider in scope. It is not a straight road, and it is not an aimless wandering either. It is a spiral. Picture something slowly circling inward, the same images coming back in season, each time a little nearer to the middle. That is what your nights are doing while you sleep through them. The nearest thing to it in the ordinary world is the way a plant grows. It is no accident that trees and flowers appear again and again in these dreams, and that people undergoing this process find themselves drawing them without knowing why. A plant does not grow in a straight jump. It unfolds in slow spirals, leaf turning past leaf around a single rising stem, the same form repeating at every level, each turn a little higher and a little fuller than the last. Your inner life grows the same way. The dreams circle and return, and to the impatient eye it looks like going nowhere, the same themes over and over. But it is not a circle that closes, it is a spiral that climbs, and the repetition you mistook for being stuck is the slow winding of the stem toward the light. This is why a single dream tells you almost nothing you can trust. One dream is too slender a hint. It is the series that carries the meaning. The series is its own context. One night throws light on another. Many dreams lying open together let you read the difficult passage that no single one could explain. This asks a patience that the modern person finds almost unbearable, and that impatience is itself the obstacle. We want the meaning tonight, clean and finished, the way we want everything else delivered fast. But the soul does not work to our schedule. It lays down its meaning the way sediment lays down stone, one thin layer at a time, and the pattern only becomes legible after many layers have settled. The person who demands that each dream pay out at once will read nothing because he is tearing up the page before the sentence is finished. The one who can wait, who keeps the record and trusts the slow gathering, is the one to whom the whole eventually speaks. So when a person brings Jung one dream and demands to know exactly what it means, he tells them the honest thing. By itself, it is nearly mute. It is the long procession of them over weeks and months that speaks, and only the procession. And the direction that procession travels is, in the truest sense, a healing. When Jung watched these long series unfold, he saw that the development of the symbols was almost the same thing as a process of recovery. The dreams were not only describing the person's trouble, they were slowly working their way toward a center, and that center, when it was reached, meant something close to what older people would have called salvation, a making whole of what had been broken and scattered. So the dream that wounds you tonight is not the soul attacking you. It is the soul operating on you, the way a surgeon's hand looks like violence and is in fact repair. The whole movement, taken as a whole, bends toward your wholeness, even when any single night of it feels like the opposite. Here is a rule Jung had to learn the hard way, and he will give it to you for free, because it will save you from the commonest mistake people make with their own inner life. Assume that every dream and every part of every dream is unknown to you at the start. Do not walk up to it already certain of its meaning, because the deeper soul is not there to confirm what you already believe. It is complementary, it is compensatory. It says the thing your waking mind has left out, the thing you did not expect, very often the exact opposite of what you wanted to hear. If the meaning you find in a dream happens to fit your expectation neatly, that is not a success. That is a reason for suspicion. As a rule, the standpoint of the deeper soul stands opposite to the daytime one, and so it arrives as a surprise. The dream that flatters you and agrees with everything you already think is the one to distrust. The dream that unsettles you, that says something you did not want said, is usually the one doing the real work. Your waking mind has its blind spots, the whole side of the matter it refuses to look at, and the dream is forever turning you to face exactly that. You might ask whether dreams ever simply agree with you, whether there are nights that confirm the view you already hold. There are, but they are rare, and you should not count on them. The standing work of the deeper soul is not agreement, it is correction. It exists to supply what your daytime attitude has left out, to lean against your one-sidedness, to keep you from toppling over in the direction you have been leaning your whole life. This is why a person who obeys only his conscious view, who never lets the dream contradict him, slowly becomes lopsided, brilliant on one side and starved on the other. The dream is the counterweight. Resent it if you like, but it is the only thing keeping you upright. If you have ever woken from a dream that disturbed you and spent the morning talking yourself out of it, take 1 second now and subscribe, because what he is about to say will change how you treat the next one. Why should it circle a center at all? Because something in you is trying to come into being, and it is not the small self you call I. The center the dreams revolve around is not your ego. Your ego is the center of your daytime awareness, the small lit circle of what you know about yourself. But the dreams keep pointing past it to a larger center, one that holds both the lit part you call yourself and the vast dark country you have never seen. The whole movement of the dream series is the slow approach to that larger center. The soul, left to itself, is trying to become whole, and it does not ask your permission, and it does not need your understanding to begin. Think of that hidden center as a kind of magnet. It is itself unknowable. You cannot point to it or define it, and yet it acts on everything around it. Slowly, over months and years, it draws the scattered, disordered material of your inner life toward itself and arranges it, the way a magnet pulls loose iron filings into a clean pattern, or the way a solution left alone lets its particles settle into the strict order of a crystal. The chaos of your days, the contradictions, the dramatic changes of fortune that feel like everything and lead nowhere, are slowly being gathered and ordered by this center you cannot see. That is why the same image keeps returning. The center is reaching for it, again and again, pulling it closer into the pattern it is building out of you. You wanted to be careful here, because this is exactly where people frighten themselves badly. Sometimes the images that rise are strange. They can be grotesque, even threatening. The most level-headed, rational person alive is not safe from a shattering nightmare. And when such an image comes, the temptation runs two ways. Either you wave it off as meaningless nonsense, or you take it as proof that you are going mad. Both are mistakes, and both close the door. These images are not madness, and they are not nonsense. They are the soul speaking in the only language it owns, the language of the image. The way to make a frightening one bearable is not to crush it and not to be swept off by it, but to give it context, to set the strange picture beside others, beside the old images that have risen in human beings for thousands of years until it becomes something you can hold. A thing that looked monstrous standing alone becomes meaningful once it takes its place in a series. And the process cannot be forced. You cannot train it like a parrot. Any attempt to drill it, to bend it to the meaning you would prefer, only damages it and teaches you nothing. The deeper soul has its own laws and its own direction. The most useful thing you can do is exactly what was done with that man and his 1,000 dreams. Watch. Write it down. Do not meddle. Let the silent process unfold and keep faithful company with it, the way you would sit quietly beside something alive that is slowly making up its mind. This is a place where you can listen, but you may not meddle. The secrets of nature are not improved by our interference, and they are not perverted by it either. They simply close and go silent under a clumsy hand. The deeper soul is genuinely not yours to command. It is an autonomous thing, with its own laws, beyond the reach of your arbitrary control. The daytime mind hates this, because the daytime mind likes to be in charge of everything, and calls anything it cannot control a danger. But the very thing that makes the deeper soul useful to you, the fact that it can correct your one-sided view and show you what you have left out, depends entirely on its being free of your management. The moment you start drilling it to say what you want, it stops being able to tell you anything you did not already know. Understand why this matters so much, because it changes your whole relationship to your own difficulty. If your dreams were random static, then your suffering would be senseless and your nights would be wasted hours. But if there is in you a process that seeks its own goal, a movement that circles steadily toward wholeness, whether you grasp it or not, then even your worst nights are part of something. The dream that terrified you may be the next turn of the spiral. The image you cannot shake may be the center itself, calling you closer in the only voice it has. There is a way of relating to this that poisons it, and a way that frees it, and the difference is mostly fear. When a person is afraid of his own depths, the center often appears in his dreams as a spider sitting in its web, something that draws him in only to trap and devour. That is the same center seen to dread. But when the fear loosens, when the person stops fighting and lets the process take its course, the very same center reveals itself as the thing that has been quietly making him whole the entire time. There is an old line carved in a spiral that says, "Though changed, I rise again the same." That is the promise hidden in the turning. You are not going in circles, and you are not being consumed. You are being drawn, slowly and against all your impatience, toward the one thing in you that was always trying to make you whole. Jung did not want you to mishear this as a command to obey your dreams blindly, to treat them as omens, to let some picture from the night dictate a decision in the morning. That is not it at all. The dream is not an order. It is the other half of you, the half the daylight leaves out, offering its correction. You bring it slowly, with patience, into your waking life. You let it adjust the one-sided view you had been living by, and you stay the one who decides. If ever the images grow too heavy to carry, that is the moment for context and for steady ground and for trusted help, never for surrender. Every life, in the end, is the realization of a whole. And the dreams are the clearest evidence. Jung knew that the whole is not something you have to invent by force of will. It is already at work in you, circling, drawing nearer, renewing its central image night after night, pressing its way through the chaos of your days toward a center you cannot yet see but can learn slowly to trust. In the comments, mark this for him and for whoever needs it after you. Write 3 words, "The dream knows," and come with him to the next one, because there is a danger in this opening and he will not hide it from you. Sometimes the deeper soul does not rise gently in a dream. Sometimes it breaks in like a flood, and the solid floor of the ordinary world seems to give way. What to do when the sea breaks into the land is where we go next.